Hello, my friends. I'm Rick, and this is your seat at the table, and we're looking at BattleTech. So this is BattleTech Field Manual Federated Suns. So for the consolidated for the year 3062, I believe my note says, and the FedCom Civil War is in motion still. I don't think it's been completely concluded just yet, but the FedCom alliance between the Lyran Commonwealth and the Federated Suns has been torn apart, and the Chaos March is formed. Their foes like the House Liao and the Free Worlds League are taking advantages of these. This is a typical civil war that breaks out between brother and sister. Victor's constant preference, I won't say, let's not say preference, let's just say this underlying belief that that's his job and responsibility to do everything he can to defeat the clans, and to the point where it's costing him his nation and his throne. Also, to the ability that this be truthful, Victor Davion really doesn't want to be the first prince of the Federated Suns. I mean, he's advocated to his sister. He's tried to support his brother. I mean, he reluctantly takes up the position again to combat his sister, etc., etc. And at the end of the day, he ends up going to work for this so-called Star League, the second coming of the SLDF and Starlink. So, kind of a contractor for Comstar before it falls apart, however you want to look at it. So the field manuals basically gives us a current as of 3062 overview of the military readiness and positions and situations going on for the given houses or the major factions, in this case the Federated Suns. So the Federated Suns has suffered a number of setbacks. One of the crucial setbacks is that Kathleen Steiner Davion was able to I don't want to say retain, let's just say hang on to or take a significant proportion of the Federated Suns ship capacity movement for moving its troops. A lot of those, because of the situation with the clans and the locations where they were at, a lot of Federated Suns owned and controlled jump ships were in Lyran space and didn't make it home. This puts the Federated Suns on their back foot because they now lack even sufficient transport to move any large bodies of troops around efficiently, let alone to respond to bushfires and things like this that crop up all over the place. And it goes on a little bit about what's going on between the siblings in the House Davion itself, the formation and reformation, a little bit of history on the Federated Suns going on here. And then we get into the military and gives us a current updated view of the Armed Forces of the Federated Commonwealth as of 3062, and how they've tried to change and modify their situation to rise to their situation. They are kind of in a pickle right now. Some of the merc units that are traditionally employed by the Davions, and we go down to break down at battle armor units, conventional armor units, aerospace units, just to give you an overview of how they sit. Here's the AFFC Warfleet, basic information on uniforms and things like this. We tend to carry over from earlier source books of similar veins. So, you know, the ranking situation and awards and decorations, of course. Then we get into this is the training section on training the troops and the officers, and I always like some of the artwork. I think the artwork's definitely improving over earlier stuff. I mean, we've been going into it for what, at this point, Bass has been in play with BattleTech for not quite 10 years, but is easily getting in there. Yeah, what year was that when this one came out? Let's see. I always wonder, I know I read it, but you know, reading something and retaining everything is it's not quite as easy as it used to be. Let's just see. There's got to be a day here somewhere, but for Pete's sake, I'm just not seeing it. I'm missing part of it. Yeah. But 2000. So this came out in 2000. So FAFSA had been in place for damn near 15 years, right? And there's a series. They continued later for another series, and I don't have all of them. I'm beginning to piece together some of them. These are some good. These are some good books. I always like these larger overviews because it gives you a better feel of the bigger picture and not all the little punky stuff that actually drives everything. So the majority of the book, of course, is talking about the various units that are that owe loyalty to the Federated Suns and how their situation, their makeup, key officers, the little bio information on each one. I always like these things, and I've had a lot of people, come to the table, and then they go and say, hey, I don't know why we focus on these things. What's the point of them? I mean, they don't really serve any role for our our tabletop battletech, or in, if you're playing MechWarrior, they may have a little bit role, but the sheer volume of them, most of us won't ever use them. I really made use of this stuff when I was playing Battle Force. When I was using lance and company and battalion size maneuvers, where I was fielding entire regimental combat teams, and my opponent was doing the same thing. And that's a kind of, because we were looking at a broad front on the much bigger map, if you want. Then these information they played out more. But from the read's perspective, from a lore perspective, it really puts some weight behind the houses and just how vast and deep their militaries are, and it gives us some inflection into that. And that's just my opinion, of course. And we get into some artwork, of course. Like I said, the artwork's improved. There's still some issues with it, depending on how you define artwork by the current standards. I mean, it's improved from what they were doing 10 years ago. I mean, such that it is. Then, of course, every one of these source books, these editions, almost always have a section in the back for rules, either updated or additional rules that you can apply. Once again, this is how Game Crunch gets created. Every issue, every couple issues, somebody says, "Oh, why do we do this? Hey, how do we add this? How do we deal with that?" BattleTech game rules for dealing with infiltrators. Yeah, so we have BattleTech game rules adjustments, MechWarrior game rules adjustments, Cavalry battle armor, battle mech variants, the Templar. So we see our TLR 1-0 Templar is introduced in this book here. A Intersphere Omni-Mech, Avalon class cruiser, and of course record sheets and things like that. So, I don't know if you can still find these things or not. If you can get them, they're worth having. If you play the period, if you're a big fan of that 30 30 to 30 50 clan invasion window, this is an excellent book to have. I mean, for references and stuff. I don't know, maybe it's just for people like me who really like to know more about what's going on and to keep things going as the game evolves through our perception of the world that we're operating out of, or BattleTech. Anyway, that's just my opinion on it. Tell you guys have yourselves a great weekend. It's a bit chilly here, so until next time. Going on, my friends, this is Rick, and hey, if you like the channel, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, tell your buddies, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, tell anybody else that's in the gaming industry or gaming fandom that